Hello, welcome to Global Business. I am Imewore Ohiobokai. In the last few weeks, Nigerians, Africans have all been talking about one thing, and that is the single currency, ECO. Of course, you may have known that the Francophone countries went ahead and adopted the ECO on December 21 as their single currency. But many of the Anglophone countries, except of course Ghana, have been kicking against this so-called adoption of the ECO. But you will remember that the ECO was actually supposed to be the West African single currency. So we shall be looking at that on the program today. How do we go about it? We're not into the politics of whether the ECO is right or the ECO is wrong, or whether Francophone countries took the right ECO or whether they took the wrong ECO. We're just going to look at what does single currency mean to cross-border trade, intra-African trade, intra-West African trade. And so we're talking to two specialists. Our first guest is Professor Jonathan Aremu. He's a research economist and he is with ECOWAS. In fact, he's the master of trade when it comes to talking about international trade across the sub-region. Then we'll be talking with Ken Ukwoha, who is a barrister at law, but more importantly, he is the president of the National Association of Nigerian Traders. Before then, you heard that the CFA was turned to the ECO. What is the origin of the CFA? We'll be taking a short clip, a documentary or a feature looking at the CFA from. Where did it come from? And where is it going to? Especially as we know that it is soon going to be turned into an ECO. Welcome to Global Business. If you are an international trader or you are a businessman, you have to sit back and relax because this show is explosive.
Have you missed out on any of the editions of Global Business? Then what are you waiting for? Visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/globalbusinessonAIT to catch up on all episodes of Global Business. Also, do follow us on Twitter at Ime Ohio and our Facebook page, Global Business on AIT, for more info on global business. You can also send us a mail, globalbusinessonAIT@gmail.com for feedback and enquiries.
This year, it's bigger and better. Cinema Production, in collaboration with Fierce Media, brings you a classic music video promo. Is it gospel? Secular hip hop, Afrobeats, all music genres. We've got you fully covered. Shoot your musical video for 75,000 naira only. Oh my goodness! Get absolute value from our promo package as we send you on your way to stardom with a crisply clear video, high definition quality, best creative concept, all at an affordable price. Call us on 0905 1924 416 or 0701 0612 949. Send in your songs today as we create mad visuals for your hit music. Terms and conditions apply.
In the 1950s and 60s, France decided the French colonies of Africa to become independent. Although the Paris government accepted formal declarations of independence, it called on African countries to sign a so-called Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. They agreed to introduce the French colonial currency FCFA franc for the French colonies in Africa, to maintain the French schools and military system, and to establish French as an official language. The CFA franc is the denomination of the common currency of 14 African countries members of the franc zone. This currency, which constitutes a break on the emergence of these countries, was created in 1945 when France ratified the Bretton Woods agreements and proceeded to implement its first declaration of parity to the International Monetary Fund (IMF). This was called Franc of the French Colonies of Africa. Since 1961, Paris has had controls over all foreign exchange reserves of Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Côte d'Ivoire, Mali, Niger, Senegal, Togo, Cameroon, Central African Republic, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon. These 14 countries are required to 85% of their foreign exchange reserves at the Banque de France in Paris. These countries are forced into a colonial tax, a tax that is based on the idea that these countries, despite having independence, owe France for the benefits of France's previous colonial rule. France also has first say over any new natural resources uncovered. Although this has been known for some time, it's just been dug up again by a German newspaper who are putting the yearly figure at $440 billion. The French government collects from its former colonies each year €440 billion of taxes. France relies on the revenues coming from Africa, not to sink into economic insignificance, warns the former president Jacques Chirac. There is something almost psychopathic in the relation of France with Africa. First, France is severely addicted to looting and exploitation of Africa since the time of slavery. Then there is this complete lack of creativity and imagination of French elite to think beyond the past and tradition. Finally, France has two institutions which are completely frozen into the past, inhabited by paranoid and psychopath fonctionaires, who spread fear of apocalypse if France would change, and whose ideological reference still comes from the 19th century Romanticism. They are the Minister of Finance and Budget of France and the Minister of Foreign Affairs of France. These two institutions are not only a threat to Africa, but to the French themselves. But, what happens if a country just flat out refuses to pay this tax? Well, when Jean Bedel Bokassa, the first president of the Central African Republic, was assassinated, it was reportedly on French orders, by ex-Foreign Legionnaire David Dacko. This was just one of 67 coups that has occurred in 26 African countries, of which 16 are ex-French colonies. Many of these coups d'etats can be tracked back to French Secret Services actions. And on the economic side, when a country tries to rebel, then France controls so much of the assets they are literally held prisoner. Both the United States and France teach their school children that their countries ignited the light of liberty in the world. But of course, both stories are false. I think we all agree that the French colonial practices in Africa need to end.
Now you know where the CFA came from. Professor Jonathan Aremu is not new to you. I'm sure you must have listened to him on this program speak eruditely on different issues on international trade. We took him up on the issue of a single currency, especially what it means for cross-border trade in West Africa and for Africa. His views were very enlightening. In fact, he brought some perspectives that many people have not thought about. For instance, did you know that there were phases that ECOWAS was to move through to become an economic union? Professor Jonathan Aremu will be espousing on all these issues in our interview with him.
The concept of single currency is to ensure that member states in that kind of an agreement, they don't have to waste international currencies when they are trading with themselves. Ordinarily, if you want to trade, right now with Ghana, and you open letter of credit, you open it in dollar or pound sterling. And then if you want to go through the informal ways, you go to borrow the change and buy dollar, and when you get to Ghana, you change it to CD before you can trade with the people. So since we are in ECOWAS community, and we believe that a single currency will be better, if we have opportunity to have a single currency, this kind of situation in which either you are going formally through opening letter of credit, or you are going through the informal way, through just crossing the border by changing to another currency and then change back when you get to the country you are going, all those things be wiped off, and everything you pay on all those kind of transactions will no longer be there. So that is the concept. But let's look memory line, and then let's look like what led us to all this issue of single currency. You see, when ECOWAS was created in 1975, our founding fathers, they have right in their mind that they are going to go this thing in phases. Phase 1, they are going to have a free trade area. Phase 2, they will have a customs union. Phase 3, they will have a common market, and the last phase will be economic union. In phase 1, they are going to have a free trade. That is to say, we won't be charging ourselves import duty. But any country that is trading with any of the 15 member states of ECOWAS, you can charge them anything. But under phase 2, any country that is exporting to any ECOWAS country will export its product, and the import duty charge on those kind of products will be on the same import duty. And that was on the 1st of January 2015. We entered that phase, which is the consumption phase, under a common external tariff. Right? But we are not in single currency yet. The next phase of economic integration is a common market where policies of member states need to shake hands and agree with themselves. Harmonization of policy on agree on investment and everything. Then that is a higher level of economic integration. Then the highest level, just as I said earlier, is economic union, where we can have monetary cooperation and a single currency can emerge. But when you look at ECOWAS, right from the beginning of ECOWAS Free Trade Area, which we call ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, the concept of new trade, of a single currency, has been on. That why don't we go straight and have a single currency? But the question is, can we operate a single currency under a free trade area? It's going to be difficult, because we are going to be having a problem with convergence criteria, because the policies are not common yet. And they're forcing all these countries to agree on a common approach when policies affecting the different sectors of the economy are totally different. It's going to be easy. And that is the problem we have been facing. With postponement of a single currency, postponement of it, because we are not in economic union yet, which is the last phase. I mean, look at European Union. They were in economic union before they actually bring the single currency. But clearly speaking, single currency is expected to facilitate trade. But when you want to force it, like the way ECOWAS is forcing it, it creates problem of convergence. And that is why you see what is happening. Announcing single currency, Francophones are taking one side. The Anglophone came up just yesterday to say that that is not what we agreed upon. To me, the best approach, before we get to an economic union where we can have a single currency, is to go via ECOWAS payment and settlement system. What is that? Each member country maintains its own domestic currency, and then we only shake hands through an intervening currency like dollar, like pound sterling, like euro. I mean, if I want to buy something in Ghana and it's $2, the person I'm buying the thing from in Ghana, no, it is $2. He knows the value in cedi. Me that is buying in Nigeria, I know the value in naira. So central bank can debit me in naira, and then they will pay the other person in cedi. And then we are not going to go through any intervening currency than just merely using the exchange rate. And in that case, we are more or less operating like a single currency, rather than forcing a single currency. And seriously speaking, this kind of forcing single currency, I think we should mellow it down. It's going to be difficult. It's a good thing, but when it is forced, it creates problems. And that is the idea. But clearly speaking, it's a good approach. But again, you have to do it step by step. ECOWAS have not been able to do it step by step. And that is why we are facing all this. Take for instance, African Continental Free Trade Area. On the 7th of July, 2019, when they met, Afresin came out and said, oh, our own African Continental Free Trade Area, we are going to use payment system. That means maintain your currency, maintain your central bank, maintain your monetary policy, and then we shake hands through intervening currencies. It can be a basket of currencies. 7 currencies of which you know their value. And that is it. It's going to be difficult. So, single currency is good for an economic integration, but at the same time, it is not good when it is forced. Because you'll be forcing convergence, and then you have to be shifting dates. You have to be shifting dates. Because policies are still diverged. They are not congruent. They are not the same. They have not been harmonized. I believe that ECOWAS is doing a very good thing. in the sense of looking at the alternative option. And that is why since 2010, ECOWAS put in place ECOWAS payment and settlement system. To the best of my knowledge, towards the end of last year, the consultant that actually did this assignment have turned in the paper, then members will be looking at it. Why don't we actually go via that? Now, in case some group of country wanted to go into a single currency, like the way in which the Francophone countries are doing, let them go. Then the plan B will be for the other ones, after that single currency which they have gone into, have been operational, then the rest of the countries that are not there can use payment system to access them. Then after that single currency has actually been tested in by market forces to be able to know its real value, then it can be joined. But going into single currency, without even those countries having an individual reserve, which is a basic condition ECOWAS member states agreed upon, and secondly, with a lot of inclination towards colonial masters, that is not a good development.
Ken Okoha is the strongman for traders in Nigeria. He's someone who has advocated not only for Nigerian traders, but Nigerian traders based outside Nigeria. Of course, you know he has been fighting for Nigerian traders who seemingly are victimized in Ghana. And that's his concern when you talk about ECO. You'll be shocked to hear his own perspective. Our next guest is Ken Okoha as he speaks on the importance of a single currency to cross-border trade. Let's take a listen.
A major chunk of trade and transactions in the whole of West Africa still rotates around the informal sector. Close to, over 90%. And to that extent, it shows the majority of the people who are doing the trading across the borders in the whole of West Africa have a level of understanding that may not be able to meet up in terms of the exchange rates and all of that from one currency to another. So it becomes a big challenge. Therefore, a single currency provides a platform for everybody to know what value, what currency, what is the level, what is the amount of a particular good or service that is going to be paid for or purchased. So buying and selling is made much easier. Therefore, we say transactions, trade is made much easier with a single currency. Number two, a single currency profiles West Africa and pushes up the level of productivity. You know why? Because the more transactions are increasing, the more productivity also increases. And why that is happening, it means it's touching a lower level of productivity, which means that it draws with it increased employment generation. Number three, we've also looked at it from our angle that today the whole of Africa is talking about the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which means that entire Africa is becoming a free trade area. Now, what that spells is this. If you take a look at the AFCFTA, the first stanzas in the objectives and the principles gives us the key element which says that the regional economic communities are the building blocks of the AFCFTA implementation. What does that connote? In terms of a single currency, it means that West Africa is being driven closer but gradually towards a springboard towards the AFCFTA implementation. So the realization of the AFCFTA, realization of Agenda 2063, the realization of the BIAT, and the realization of a common currency, a common monetary union for Africa, which is in the pipeline, is also gradually being achieved in that regard. Number 4, the common currency looks at a redistribution of wealth. By the time there is an increased productivity and increased trade that has reduced hitches, because a single currency has reduced the impediments, what it means is that distribution and redistribution of goods results into distribution and redistribution of wealth. And therefore, you are, by one hand, perhaps inadvertently, reducing poverty among the populations of West Africa. The single currency is also a step towards our integration. The purpose of integration is economic integration. And in fact, if you look clearly to backwards to 1975, 1978, and all of that period when ECOWAS was formed, the very first motive behind the formation of ECOWAS was economic integration. But 40 years plus thereafter, many of the protocols that speak to economic integration, much of these have not been realized. But please, can we start off with a single trade union so that we can have a single trade policy? Because without a single trade policy, a single currency that will service that trade becomes irrelevant. You need to create the platform for that trade, seamless trade, that will give credence to the protocols on the free movement. The free movement of people, free movement of goods and services. All of this have been hindered by, 1, corrupt practices, by officials of governments, the same governments and institutions that signed onto these protocols that brought us together as an entity called ECOWAS. Look at Nigerians in Ghana that are trading. What is happening? Many shops, as we speak right now, many of the shops, almost close to 600 shops, are locked. And the governments of West Africa are not speaking about it. And even when they speak about it, they speak about it as if it does not really matter. But the economies are being locked up. Now, how do you reconcile this? That we are talking about a single currency, which is good, which is healthy for a region, but at the same time, the impediment in the foundation for that particular single currency is looking at all of us, staring at us in the face, and we're not talking about it. Therefore, as we are talking about a single currency, we must talk about the basement, which is the foundation. The foundation is a union created for every one of us under a common platform to operate. How strong is that platform? Nothing can stand on nothing. If we do not get this foundation right, the single currency becomes a problematic one. It will fail. We want it to exist because it is good for us. It is healthy for operators like us. It is healthy. If there's any constituency that would benefit maximally from a common currency, it is the traders' constituency, and therefore we hail it. But please, ECOWAS should help us get the foundation right. Let us have free movement established, obeyed. Rights of resident established, obeyed. Rights of establishment really established and obeyed, not in breach. There we can go.
Have you missed out on any of the editions of Global Business? Then what are you waiting for? Visit our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Global Business on AIT, to catch up on all episodes of Global Business. Also, do follow us on Twitter at Ohio and our Facebook page, Global Business on AIT, for more info on global business. You can also send us a mail, globalbusinessonait@gmail.com, for feedback and inquiries.
This year, it's bigger and better. Cinema Production, in collaboration with Fierce Media, brings you a classic music video promo. Is it gospel? Secular hip hop? Afrobeats, all music genres. We've got you fully covered. Shoot your musical video for 75,000 naira only. Oh my goodness! Get absolute value from our promo package as we send you on your way to stardom with a crispy clear video, high definition quality, best creative concept, all at an affordable price. Call us on 0905 1924 416 or 0701 0612 949. Send in your songs today as we create mad visuals for your hit music. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, you can see that there are so many perspectives to this issue of a single currency, whether it's ECO, whether it's the CFA, whether you call it even the Naira. In fact, some people had actually suggested that why is it that the Naira is not the currency for West Africa, considering the fact that the Nigerian economy controls about 65% of the West African economy. Well, with all the debates still on, the most important thing is that a single currency is very helpful, but you have to crawl before you can walk. The West African region cannot run when it has not even crawled. That is what we have gotten from the perspectives we have heard today. So, ECOWAS, let's learn to crawl. Of course, you know the West African Monetary Institute, with most of it, the Anglophone countries, the West African central bank governors, they have already rejected the CFA franc turning into ECO. They say it is an aberration and it is not what exactly the ECO was originally supposed to be. They agree that all West African countries must come towards that convergence. And so we ask again, ECOWAS, it is time to crawl. Then you can walk before you can run. It's our first edition of Global Business in 2020. I am Imewere Ohiomokai. It's always nice doing business with you. Let's do business again next week.